geometry? Man, I just can't put that book down. It is so good. And you are going to love the section today. If you thought equations of circles was good, man, wait till you check out equations of parabolas. It's just a page turner. Um, all right, let's try to work through some of this. Uh, not to be too negative, but I think you're going to hate this. Um, you know what a parabola is. We learned that last year in algebra. Um, a parabola, looks something like that. And, ooh, that's pretty awful, isn't it? And you know that parabolas are the shape of when you graph quadratic equations, right? Does that look better? Yeah, it looks a little better. What you probably didn't learn last year is the geometric kind of definition of a parabola. And the geometric definition is, it says a parabola is all the points that are equidistant. I should probably do this in different colors. That are equidistant from a point F called the focus and a line, do they call it D? D called the directrix. So, in other words, let me get a black pen here if I can. This point right there, oh, this pen doesn't work. This point right there, that distance is the same as that distance, okay? Now, maybe on mine it might not be because I just kind of, guessed at where things were, but we'll call this P. And so in other words, the distance from F to P is the same as from P to D. Sorry, I guess this D is not really, this is the directrix, this line, but they pick a point on the directrix. And they say that the focus, okay, first of all, you remember there's an axis of symmetry that goes through here. This is called the vertex. And if the vertex was right on the x-axis, let's say, then this distance up, this is going to be the point 0, P, let's call it. It's P up. And then this distance here at P is going to be a certain x and y over and up. And the distance at D is going to be x over and the opposite of P down. Does that make sense? So we went from 0 here up to P. This is going to be P down. I know my graph, my picture is a little off, but you get the idea. Okay? So take a moment and digest all those different points. I didn't put in 0, 0, but you probably can figure that out. So here's the origin. This is up P. This is over and up a certain distance. Well, sorry, this is over and up a certain, but this is the point P there. This is over and down that same distance. So maybe what I should do to make my graph a little more, or my picture a little more accurate, is let me just move this. I think if I move this down, then it won't be so confusing because it'll look right. So this is supposed to be down the same distance. So let's say it's like right there. That's the directrix. So this is down, and this is the point D, and this is over X and down P. Yeah, that's going to be okay. All right, I'm going to leave it. I don't know. I don't know I'm going to make it any better. So, okay, now that you've got that, that's kind of the easy part, sad to say. Then they give you, they derive an equation, and I'm going to just skip the derivation part. But if you have a parabola that opens up and down, then the equation is going to be x squared equals 4py. Okay? And remember from algebra, you know that like y equals x squared, you know that that was a parabola. That's about, we did something like that. We might have put a number in front of this or a little bit, but do you see it's y equals x squared? It's still the same thing, okay? But this is just a little more sophisticated now. Furthermore, if you have a parabola opening to the side, then it's going to be y squared equals 4px. That would be a parabola opening sideways, one of the two. Okay? All right. Let's just let's take that in, and we're going to move on to page 704. And in fact, instead of me writing this, I'm wondering if I can do this, but and I know you have your book too, but let me just put this up here and have you take a gander at it. So they sum all this information up in this key concept here. They give you the general equation. They give you the axis of symmetry, the vertex, the focus, the directrix. Tells you if it opens up or down. And you're just going to have to look at that information. And when they ask you questions, you're going to have to go to those the P, the X, the Y, and you're going to have to look at it and kind of figure out what's going on. Okay? Let's work through. What is it? It's example 3 on how to graph a parabola. Okay? On page 706. So first of all, I'm going to go back to that key concept and let's write down the standard form of a parabola. And for example 3, what's going to be squared? It's the y term is squared. So that's going to be a parabola that opens to its side, right? So the equation we want is y minus k squared equals 4p, and it's x minus h, right? Yeah, x minus h. So that's our standard form. That's what we're looking for. What they give you is they give you x minus 3 equals negative 1/16 y plus 1 squared. So look at the two and compare them. See the term, the squared? We want that by itself. So let's get rid of this negative 1/16. We'll multiply it by the other side. And that makes, it's kind of like we're dividing by 1/16 here, or we're multiplying, but when we move to this, we're going to multiply by a negative 16. So it's going to be negative 16 x minus 3 equals y plus 1 squared. Let's just reverse these to make it look like that, just so there's no confusion. Okay, this is y minus k, this is y plus 1. So we're going to want this to be minus something, so it's going to be minus negative 1. This is okay. We want this to be kind of in terms of this. I mean, we want it to be 4 times positive p. So if this was, let's see, sorry, let me check what they got here. We want it to be positive 4 times negative 4. That gives us negative 16 times x minus 3. And this side is still y minus negative 1 squared. Now can we identify things? We can identify that this is going to be k. That 4 times the p, so this is going to be p. And x minus h, so this is going to be h. Okay? Now that you've identified those things, you can draw in some of the kind of key features of this parabola. Let me erase and we'll get to that, okay? Okay, so let's kind of make a list of some of our key features here. The focus, and again, you can look at that little section that had all the little formulas. The focus, if you remember, is going to be h plus p and then k. The vertex is going to be h and k. The axis of symmetry is going to be y equals k. The directrix is going to be I got to look to, I don't have these memorized right now, is x equals h minus p. And let's just leave it at that for now, okay? So let's go through and figure these out. So h plus p, 3 plus negative 4 is going to be negative 1 and then negative 1. That's going to be the focus. The vertex is going to be 3 and negative 1. The axis of symmetry is going to be y equals negative 1. The directrix is going to be x equals h minus p, so that's going to be 7, right? Okay, I hope this isn't too messy for you. At this point, we can discard all this. And then we're just going to sketch this in as a graph. So, vertex is 3, negative 1. Over 3, down 1. That's going to be your vertex. Axis of symmetry, y equals negative 1. So it's going to be going this way. This is going to be your axis of symmetry. The directrix is going to be x equals 7, so over 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the directrix is going to be here. And the focus is going to be negative 1, negative 1. That's going to be the focus. Your graph is going to be going to the left because p is less than 0. P was a negative, so it's going to be going this way. Okay, as awful as it sounds, I think when you work with this, you'll get to know these equations. I need to work with it too. I need to get these equations down in my head. But that's the equations of parabolas, okay? All right, I'm going to get back to reading my good book.